One can have no greater or smaller mastery than the mastery of oneself. Leonardo da Vinci. I think we all would agree that Leonardo da Vinci is a pretty good person to take advice from when it comes to self-mastery. I chose a quote from him because he, I guess, would be the master of all humans, or maybe we could agree is one of the most masterful people that have ever lived on this earth. This particular video is one I've been working on for some time, and if you clicked on it, you're obviously someone who's into self-mastery. I've kind of been dedicating the last few years of my life to finally getting to this level of self-mastery. I've wanted to make this video for a while to kind of highlight the main people who got me there. This is a top 10 list. A few people will be left out. That's unfortunate. I'll have some honorable mentions. You can let me know in the comments who you think I left out. I talked to a few friends and I already have an idea of one in particular that I left out, but it's a top 10. I couldn't fit everyone, and these are the top 10 most influential YouTubers in my life. Big league. I'm going to start at number 10, and I'm going to kind of share number 10, and that's already violating the rules of a top 10. But number 10, we have Mooji and Eckhart Tolle. They're sharing. The reason I have them sharing is I actually didn't find them through YouTube. They do have YouTube pages, so I wanted to introduce them to other people. Since this is a YouTube channel here, and I'm introducing top 10 YouTubers for self-mastery, and though, you know, they're not my top 10 YouTubers because I wasn't introduced to them through their YouTube platforms, they do have YouTube platforms. Eckhart Tolle, he's a German, I guess you could use the word philosopher. Some people will call him a guru. And Mooji, who was born Anthony Paul Young, Anthony Paul Moo Young. He's a Jamaican guru, I guess you could say. But the main thing about both of these guys is they share a common thread of self-realization. And I didn't find either of them through YouTube, as I said. I found Eckhart Tolle through his book, The Power of Now, which was always right there. This book changed my life, kind of got me started on the path to mastery. And even though it was not a YouTube channel, he has a YouTube channel. I do watch his YouTube channel now. And Mooji, to me, they kind of talk about the same thing in a very, very, very similar way. My main thing about my path is the use of entheogens, which you kind of can't really talk about that openly. You can't really talk about it that openly on YouTube, but you can't really teach people about it as openly as I would like to. But also, when I was beginning on that journey to self-discovery of my spiritual path through the use of entheogens, I found that Mooji and Eckhart Tolle were really telling the message of psychedelics in a way that was more accessible to a person who would be unwilling to ever try them. And I don't feel like psychedelics are just the only way, you know, so if you are unwilling to do that, or if that's something that's not for you, you know, Mooji and Eckhart Tolle, they offer you different ways. Mooji, he's really good at leading guided meditations and such to kind of point you towards the realization of self. Eckhart Tolle, he talks about it in what I would consider a more westerly mindset. Either way, they're both very accessible. They both have YouTube pages. I'm not sure if Mooji has books. I'm assuming he has books. But they both have podcasts. That's how I discovered Mooji, is through a podcast. But as I said, I watch both their pages, and I strongly suggest them when it comes to the mastery of self and their, the detachment from emotion and you know, I feel like every religion is pointing to the realization of self. So like that's another thing about Mooji and Eckhart Tolle is Eckhart Tolle doesn't really talk about religion at all, and Mooji, he's Hindu and Christian, but obviously he's got like some Rasta vibes in him because he's like from Jamaica. Really cool human beings. Super recommend. That brings me to number 9. ELLE. I wanted to do a whole video about her, and I still maybe will do whole videos about every one of these people who have particularly impacted me. When it comes to ELLE, she is one of the first kind of like interactions I had with a YouTuber as a YouTuber, kind of giving the same message as me. I think the biggest thing with the revolution, and many revolutions are happening right now, obviously, but spirituality is being revolutionized also in such a way, and I think a big part of that is the rise of shadow work and alchemy. There's a lot of people, you know, who are fed the bullshit of all these religions, but they found a very different reality. And those of us who had to travel down that path had to learn a different set of wisdom, a different set of skills. And ELLE, I think, as far as I love Teal Swan, and like I said, there will be honorable mentions. Because I really do feel like Teal Swan does this too, but I don't feel like she is as relatable to me, or at least just to me. I just don't feel her emotion as much moving through, and this isn't even a critique, this is just to say why, who is who on the list. Teal Swan, I'm sure you've heard of her, and she's being mentioned in this list. Here you go. She's absolutely phenomenal, but I don't feel like she's as accessible. ELLE, she really talks about her personal experiences with addiction, and she's just real about what her story is. And I guess she's more relatable to me because she's not someone who is far off in the distance. And what she's really teaching about is like, I feel like she's might be kind of mean in real life. No offense, love you. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like that is kind of like what she portrays, and kind of what I portray is that, like, you know, as a follower of a dark goddess, which she's not, I am, but tough love is a big part of my spiritual path. Nothing came to me just easily like la-di-da, sunshine and rainbows. And a lot of people are ignoring that, you know, they take the spiritual route and they spiritually bypass their emotions. They don't do the actual work to actually heal. They just put on a facade of healing. They pretend that spirituality is solving all their problems, but in reality they're just suppressing these problems and projecting them into different areas of their lives unconsciously. What ELLE and I really, you know, the thing with alchemy, and yes, with Teal Swan, and I wouldn't call Teal Swan as much an alchemist, although she definitely is. There's another alchemist out there, Danielle, Lynn. I super recommend her. She's not on the list, but like I said, there's reputable mentions. When it comes to alchemizing these big emotions, and not even particularly hitting the mental health aspect of it, but it is kind of a part of it at the same time, but without like delving into, like, I guess, you know, the therapy of rerouting your brain and all that. Alchemy is more so like using that negative energy and turning it inside out, like, and it is an important part of healing and self-mastery to be able to use those emotions to be able to do good. You can't, no amount of enlightenment, or like the word I'm using here, no amount of self-mastery will take pain and difficulty from your life. To some degree, you have no choice but to either, you know, use that energy in a productive way, or you'll subconsciously form maladaptive patterns that will, you know, further that disease in your life. So the thing, you know, with shadow work and alchemy is taking these things that happen to us instead of, becoming the eternal victim and letting that wounding, those narratives control our lives and destroy us. We use that as the opposite. We use that as the energy to fuel our mission. Like the fact that my parents and a lot of my friends, lost their whole lives to addiction is the reason I haven't lost my life to addiction, why I haven't fallen into those traps. So I kind of use those, I kind of see those things as the thing that I'm alchemizing in my path. The reason I'm into mental health so deeply is, to be a force that kind of undoes the ripple, the curse that, I feel like the generational curse that my parents have pushed into the world through me, and, I have a responsibility now, and I think shadow work is one of the biggest things in the world, and so that's why ELLE is number 9. Number 8 could be considered kind of weird too, because I didn't really discover them through YouTube. I discovered them through their TV show on Gaia, which I discovered that through a video on YouTube of this person, Dr. Joe Dispensa. Yes, I'm leaving that in. Dr. Joe Dispensa. His work is pretty insanely phenomenal, and I will say all of these were like the first step, and I guess that's kind of like a thing, gathering the infinity gauntlet, like maybe it was like the first, second, third step, but all of these were the precursor. These people were the precursor to me reaching the mindset that I have now. And I had a really toxic life cycle happening in my life. A lot of people hated me. I had an admittedly extremely abusive personality. I didn't know how to assertively speak my mind. I had a lot of problems, and I didn't know them as well as I'm naming them off now. I didn't know what my problems were. I just knew that I wanted to fix my life, and I learned about Dr. Joe Dispensa. Yeah, I'm never gonna say his name right. Yeah, that's funny. But I learned about Dr. Joe Dispensa and watched the show Rewire Your Brain or something like that. The title on the screen or something. But he is a neuroscientist, and the way he breaks down the different ways of how you actually train your brain into new habits is kind of like the groundwork for everything. Like every new habit that I learn now, even like not the kinds of habits that I am learning from him and his work, but just any new habit that I learn, I am incorporating the things that I've learned through Joe Dispensa to literally do the work of rewiring these new behaviors into my brain and making them, rewiring my subconscious to where I don't have to think so much about my actions, but I've done the work to actually reprogram the bottom layer of what's going on in my brain. He's a fantastic resource, which for mental health, which leads me to number 7, which was one of my first Psych mental health YouTube channels, Psych to Go, which I absolutely super adore. They're the most cutest characters in the universe, and the lady's voice is just so soothing, and she even has her own page. I realize I'm gonna have to do a lot of links for this video, and I'm also realizing this video is like insanely much longer than any other videos I have done. So, but if you're really committed to self-mastery, you'll stick through till the end. But Psych to Go is a beautiful resource for making mental health more accessible, and kind of like, the higher you can go into psychology and learn a lot of the big terms for yourself. But a lot of people aren't on the same intelligence level as, you know, people who are into that kind of, and that's not even saying a slight to people. It's kind of just an idea of like, not everyone's about to like sit and listen to an academic dissertation. TED Talks aren't exciting to everyone. And I feel like accessibility is the main thing to a YouTube channel. The different styles and voice of the YouTuber and how they reach you with an idea is what makes the art of YouTubing. And when it comes to accessibility, Psych to Go is just so cute it's just so cute. But they're like communicating like such important things, like, and I think it's like a thing to really like what our generation is doing is we're trying to do the work to remove the stigma from mental health and, you know, make everyone more comfortable sharing their problems and such. And I think Psych to Go is just an amazing YouTube channel and resource for that. So definitely check that out. Now we are getting down to number 6, which as I get here, I'm like, wow, I don't really watch this guy on YouTube a lot, but I do. The same show is on Spotify, and when it comes to, I guess, you know, longer form content, I prefer Spotify. André Duqum, which for some reason I don't know how to say his last name. He's never said his last name. I'm not gonna say he's never said it, but I've watched a lot of his videos and listened to a lot of his podcasts, and they just call him Andre. As you see, he's incredibly sexy and gorgeous, and he's incredibly intelligent. And his podcast, he is the reason this channel even exists. And I don't even remember the name of the guy. I am putting him on the screen right now because I'll have to look this up. But just diving into he has a deep array of people on his channel, like from different backgrounds, and I think that's the thing, the diversity of the people you can find on his podcast. It's kind of like the idea behind this video, but on crack. He's plugging you into all these people, and my biggest thing is interconnectivity, connecting people with, you know, all these resources, all these different people, because it's about community. It's not about, you know, I would love to, you know, create a product to sell to you guys one day, but creating that product will be to help you, and selling it will be to help humanity. Like, and until that time, you know, it's like I don't have a problem recommending all these people. And I think that's the thing with Andre. He has no ego. His heart is just wide open. Even when he disagrees with the people, you can tell sometimes the people he has on his show he doesn't agree with completely, but he always comes at them with constructive questions, and he's just a wonderful host, and he's introduced me to a lot of different voices, a lot of different ideas, and kind of like I said, you know, in my spiritual path, there weren't really a lot of different human beings or groups to connect with. So, you know, podcasts and YouTube videos, especially ones that introduce me to a vast array of people who have similar beliefs as me, really makes me feel less lonely on my path. And I think that's a very important thing to self-mastery, is finding a sense of community. And sometimes when you're on the path of mastery, it can feel, you know, very much extremely lonely because you're not like the peers around you, and you know, like depending on what your spiritual beliefs are, with mine in particular, it was very hard to find a group of people that resonated with how I felt about my life, the universe, and God, or whatever you want to call it. And some people frown upon the use of psychedelics, and I didn't find a group that accepted me for that until I found Psanctuary, which is my church there, the Sacred Mushroom Church. This is my first time really mentioning them super officially. And I do want to actually plug them, because if you are a person that is on the path of self-mastery and you happen to use psychedelics and you happen to live in the United States where it's frowned upon and it's legitimately part of your spiritual practice like me, it can be very difficult to find, a sense of community out there in the world. Well, if you are looking for that, Sanctuary is a good place to plug into. We have we're always expanding and growing. It's kind of crazy to try to name everything here in a video that's already this long, but we have Sunday services every week, and I'm just going to put a link down there because this is already an information deep video, but I did want to plug those guys in if you guys were interested. So check out that link in the description. Before we get into the next portion, it's gotten pretty late. I had a little argument, having a little discussion with a friend about the very nature of this video that I'm making here. And she's basically talking about the fact that a lot of these things should be, bound to the realm of, clinical mental health professionalism and not social media. Of course, as a content creator, I disagree with her on a lot of parts of that, but I do feel like she's right in a lot of ways. A lot of people are misinformed, and like I've said in previous videos, just because someone has a platform doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. So always be vigilant when, using the information you find from people. I think that's kind of like why I'm creating this list, is because these are a top 10 group of people that I've worked with them. I've watched several of their videos. Some of them I've read their books, I've listened to their podcasts, and joined Zoom groups on some of them. These are people that I have personally vetted in my personal life and have led to much of my own personal growth and effects that I can see, not just anecdotal things that I'm hearing from. These are people that I have listened to the advice of and I have applied to change my life. And I wanted to drop some honorable mentions here that I didn't put in the list. And I have a few different reasons for not putting everyone in the world in the list. First off, it's the top 10. Also, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you, and I would appreciate if you liked and subscribed to this video. Many videos like this are coming, maybe not as long. This is the longest video I've ever done. I don't know if I'll do a video this long again unless this resonates with you guys and this performs well, but this is kind of just a orientation of my vibration and the people that I follow. One of the honorable mentions that I think of that comes up in this topic is David Goggins, because this is kind of a good person in this subject to bring up, because he has helped me a lot, but I don't agree with him enough to put him on this list. And I feel like with, anyone, any teacher that you come by is, we have this saying in the pagan community, take what serves you and leave the rest. And, that applies to everyone, but, with David Goggins in particular, maybe he is the exact thing that some people need. But, when it comes to my personal healing journey, I've learned to be patient and, be a very good parent to my inner child. So I'm not one to use the self-deprecating behavior, kind of self-talk that David Goggins used to kind discipline himself. I am a big fan of discipline. But I don't feel like you have to be self-abusive to get yourself to fall in line and to gain discipline. It's more of a, putting actions to habit, forcing actions into habit. Another one I'd like to mention right before I get into number 5 is Dr. Ramani, which my friend and so far my biggest YouTube fan, Lala, she mentioned Dr. Ramani. And Dr. Ramani was one of the ones who almost made the list. And she's a phenomenal resource if you're dealing with narcissistic abuse. And as my colleague that I'm mentioning who disagrees with social media, I think that the deal is a lot of these people who are making these videos aren't vetted. Their information is just whatever. Dr. Ramani is absolutely not one of those sources. She's an amazing resource if you're dealing with narcissistic abuse. I think she might be a little hard on them. Everyone has different opinions about everything. I think she might be a little harsh on sufferers of NPD. I am not a psychologist though, so maybe once I am at that point, I'll agree with her. But she's a good resource if that's something you're dealing with in your life. But she didn't make the top 10. Who did make the top 10 though, however, is number 5 drum roll thing. I'm sure I've got some beat playing. It's Dr. K. And I have his real name put up there. He doesn't go by that. His YouTube tag is HealthyGamer. He's really a phenomenal resource. He's not only a psychotherapist, but he also studied and trained to be a monk. So he's, as far as my personal path goes, because my path is really about, the marriage of science and spirit. One of the things the main reason I'm going to school basically is to get more of a scientific understanding of my spirituality and to hopefully to advance that knowledge help advance that knowledge for everyone. Anyway, Dr. K, he talks a lot about the very, kind of like what I'm talking about, the very woo-woo topics such as like meditation and enlightenment and the way these things actually affect you psychologically. And he is a really good balance between the Western thought of psychology and the Eastern understanding of, enlightenment and self-realization. And he really paves a really good road between the two, and he may be slightly biased as much as any human being is, but I feel like he offers a pretty objective view. He's paving a way for an objective view, a scientific view of like mysticism and magic, if you will. Although I haven't really seen any of his videos where he touches on magic directly. I feel those are very much the same energy. But he criticizes a lot of resources, and I think that's important as far as especially the kind of conversation I was having with my colleague. He criticizes a lot of published works that claim things about mental health, claim things about meditation, because as I stated before, my colleague is saying, as I am stating and agreeing with her, social media is littered with bullshit. And you really got to be aware of the kind of the resources you're interacting with and the kind of information you're digesting and adding to your belief system ultimately. And Dr. K is a really good source of, he has a very skeptical eye of mystic stuff, and so he tells it how it is when it comes to mysticism from what I would say is a pretty objective. Next on the list Struthless. This is a very, very, very interesting number 4. I feel like I'm a broken record saying this, but this guy changed my life. All these people changed my life. That's why they're on this list. This particular person was, he hit me in such a way and at such a time. This was literally like a switch that went off in my mind. These other resources, you know, I was already trying to change my life and had these resources helping me along the way. But I found this one video called Stallion Theory. I have the thumbnail on the screen and the name of it. How creativity is ruining your life, or something along those lines. And wow. I had already followed this guy, and watched some of his stuff before, and it's not to say that he's obviously on this list. His content is amazing, and when it comes to creative work, and these are all kinds of different levels of mastery that these people touch. The last 5 even more so are, you know, really honing it into a specific thing. When it comes to Dr. K, it's kind of like, you know, being wise about the content you are consuming when it comes to getting to where you're going. When it comes to your creativity, and a lot of people maybe, if you're not creative in the traditional sense, meaning like you're not a writer or a musician or a painter or something, you may think that the idea of creativity doesn't apply to you. But when it comes to thinking outside the box, or trying to run your own business, or like even problem solving, or, you know, living your own life, creativity is a part of life, no matter what. When you're choosing a career goal, when you're deciding what clothes to wear, you know, who to date, who to talk to, what friends you want to make, all those things come down to creativity. And basically he breaks down one of Jerry Seinfeld's theories, which is the stallion theory. It's basically the idea that your creativity is like a wild stallion. You know, it does whatever it wants, and then until you incorporate some level of discipline, which he goes into it in this video. I'm gonna have fun linking all the resources in the description. His video is gonna be down there. It's gonna be Struthless. This video really hones in on how to train your stallions, how to get control of your creativity, how to start putting your mind into boxes instead of just being scatterbrained and being whatever. And that was the very first step to me becoming someone who could be organized enough to write a script about 10 people and, you know, shoot them and keep a schedule. And I've recently started school and trying to balance that. I wouldn't be this person at all to any extent without, if that video didn't happen. Like, that video was like the lightning strike that changed my reality. Like I'm saying, all these people have helped me change my life in dramatic ways, but this one was like divine from God. And that being said, that'll lead me to one of my favorite honorable mentions. And although my work is nothing like hers, one of my biggest divine inspirations, and she didn't make it into this list because she's not a self-mastery YouTuber, but Life of Risa. She changed my world just from beauty. She really made me want to create. She made me realize that I want to do this maybe for the rest of my life, or I guess until like I get really, really tired of it, like Matt Pat, and I'm like, I'm done with this. Anyway, we're getting to number 3 because this video is super long. Number 3 is one of my most favorite resources, and I'll say this again. This lady changed my life. Her channel, the Neurodiversity Club #3, the Neurodiversity Club. Woo! Yeah, I've done so many like obviously I watch enough content and YouTube videos to make a YouTube video about YouTube videos. And I've been doing this self-help work for a long time. I've had multiple therapists. I use psychedelics. I have obviously asked people advice. I've used all kinds of productivity tools throughout my time on this earth. But as an autistic and newly understanding, perhaps also ADHD person, still undiagnosed, although I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid, but everybody was, so no, that is super valid. But no tool on earth has helped me become productive like the neurodiversity. And I keep saying, oh, that's wrong. That's just burned into my brain because neurodiversity is the actual word. It's the Neurocuriosity Club. And I won't have to asterisk over that because I just said it in the title screen correctly. But the Neurocuriosity Club offers a huge, diverse range of tools for being productive, and not just productivity, there's a lot of cool videos about just relating emotionally. But when it comes to self-mastery, this tool, if you are a person who suffers from, and I don't like even using that word, but when it comes to like trying to be productive and put your life together, you are suffering from ADHD and autism because executive functioning issues stand in the way of many of your goals if you're anything like me. And discovering the Neurocuriosity Club helped give me tools that were shaped to my actual brain chemistry that actually worked to actually help me to become more productive, instead of like trying to just make a to-do list and like check it all off and like just be, I don't even know like what normal people do, but we can't. It just doesn't work for our brains. I would not be succeeding in any of this stuff without her either. When it comes to the idea of, like I said, training my stallions, she is the one who gave me the bridle and the whip and showed me how to ride the stallion, because like I've been trying to train my stallion the whole time, but my stallion was autistic. So, and this comes down to the last two now, which are my most favorite human beings on earth, my favorite YouTubers, period. And it was really a battle, and I almost wanted to tie them, but that would just be cringe, as I made title screens for everyone already. My guru, #2. I wanted to put her #1. Brenda Turner. Wow. And I think she just, it may be a little unfair, and I think that's kind of why I put her as #2. She's my favorite person because we resonate so deeply. She is a Vedic teacher. I don't have abs like her, but I do. I want to one day. I do want to get into physical exercise. I use the word guru because she's my guru. She's very motivational. She's very vulnerable, very real, very down to earth. She's not like Tony Robbins, which that's obviously someone to mention. She's really good at the whole guruing thing. But to me personally, and though Tony Robbins, he's real, he's as real as it gets, don't get me wrong. Tony Robbins just feels like a corporate machine, you know, like Brenda is a human being, a lovely human being. When it comes to me personally, she's a writer. Writing is my main craft, my first love when it comes to all the different kinds of arts I do. When it comes to training your stallions, my particular stallion of writing, that was the step that led me to furthering my education. I started writing every day. I started listening to Brenda's work, and she's also, like I said, Vedic, so like her meditations, her reflections on spiritual work, how she marries her spirituality with her work, just so deeply resonates with me. And on top of that, she gives extensive advice on how to, create your own write whatever you're trying to write, whether that's writing a course or writing a book or, whatever it is. Brenda is the woman for even fitness. Like, I haven't actually watched her fitness videos. That's what she did before. But she's just amazing. So I would only imagine she was probably an amazing fitness coach too. So, but that brings us finally to number one, my most favorite human being on the whole internet. And it was really hard to choose her to be number one over Brenda. But Heidi Priebe, more than anyone else on this list, has changed my life beyond any words can explain. Like, when I first watched her first video, I was completely broken. I was a completely helplessly codependent, addicted person. Had no reason to live. I didn't know the first step to doing anything about it. I didn't know how to name what my problem was. I mean, I didn't even know I had a problem. Like, I felt like everybody else was the problem. Like, it took me, I'd worked on this problem my whole life. I'd had therapists before this time. They didn't help me as much as finding Heidi Priebe and then having a therapist. Having a framework for being able to understand my personality. And Heidi Priebe, she has a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in attachment theory, which my friend, colleague person was saying that doesn't exist. So, like, if Heidi Priebe cares at all and happens to watch this, for the proof of everyone on the internet, I guess, prove to these people that you have that degree, because they tried to fight with me and say that the degree didn't even exist. But I've watched so much content on attachment theory by Heidi Priebe that, like, I don't need to validate it. And even if she's just making it up, she has changed my life completely. And, like, she's a divine oracle from God if she, like, didn't go out of her way to, like, literally master this information in the way that she did, and to be able to break it down to a person who was not, I was nowhere near ready to receive the messages that I was able to receive from her in the language that she packaged them in. And she's impacted my life so much that, like, I'm going back to school for psychology, dedicating my life to understanding attachment theory. So I would say, she has, like, most radically changed my life. And Brenda Turner, both of them together. Heidi Priebe gave me the motivation to see the kind of person I wanted to be. And Brenda Turner was kind of like giving me the toolbox to get there. And like Brenda Turner, she is, I feel like when it comes to, you know, YouTubers, Brenda Turner is very down to earth and responsive, and she loves us. And I know Heidi Priebe loves us, but I haven't gotten a comment back from her ever. I guess I haven't maybe commented at Heidi Priebe that much. I don't know. But hey, if you see this, leave a comment and know that I love you so deeply and you changed my life, and I'm sure that's like something you hear quite a bit, but know that I wanted to make this whole video about you, but and I still will in the future. There are videos I want to make about people on this list, people who are not on this list. This list is a very particular thing. But when I go into, like when I create my video about Heidi Priebe, you know, I would love to interview you if you're down with that. I know I don't have like the greatest resources right now, but if you agree to an interview, I would make sure to have the resources to accommodate that looking really nice if you would have me. But as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the first episode of the rebrand in my channel. I'm Alexio Chapman, and I'll explain that, I guess. I don't have to explain. I don't have to explain shit. It's my channel. Anyway, but thank you so much for joining me here today. And I hope you found a lot of hope you follow some of these people. And I mean, I went through a lot to resource this particular video to compile these people all in one umbrella. So, you know, if you resource this video, if you found if you go, in the future, you look up any of these people and you find them to be helpful, of course, share those people to other people, but share this video around if you think this is a helpful resource. And as far as, giving someone a first little hit of if you know someone's trying to change their life and start mastering themselves and really, start going after their goals, this is a really good first resource, a little good directory, and my page is kind of trying to serve as a directory as such. And I'm rambling, and I don't know how long this video is already, so now I'm going to check my list to make sure I didn't forget anyone looking. I didn't. So, I love you guys, and as always, stay mindful.